Hallo und guten Abend, as they say in Austria. Hello and good evening. We've got a couple of interesting Austrian wines to try tonight from a guy called Johannes Trapl. And these wines are made in the Carnuntum region of Austria. Now, Austrian wines don't have a major presence in the UK or Irish market, but they are growing, and there is some interest in them, particularly in the white versions, the Gruner Veltliners, of which this is partially Gruner Veltliner. It's a blend, but most people would know, if you know anything about Austrian wines, Gruner Veltliner and Wachau and Kremstal would be two of the sort of more important regions. But this Carnuntum is a little bit further south of those, and it's closer to the Slovakian and Hungarian borders. So all the wine growing in Austria is on the eastern part of the country, on the lower half, if you like, where the western half is all the mountains where you all love to go skiing and things like that, of course, towards the Swiss borders. So all the wine growing down in the east, close to Slovakia, close to Hungary. And the interesting thing about Austrian wines as well is they're using grape varieties which you don't tend to see anywhere else, largely don't tend to see anywhere else. So Gruner Veltliner is seeing little plantings around the world in places, but not so much. There's a few grape varieties in Austria in white terms, like Riesling, which you'll get everywhere, but also you'll get Weissburgunder as well, and what's the third one now? Welsh Riesling, that's it, Welsh Riesling, I forgot about it, which is kind of unique to that part of Europe, that sort of Austro-Hungarian area. You don't see it anywhere else. In the red, this particular wine, Carnuntum Red, is a blend of Zweigelt, which is very Austrian, Blaufränkisch and Saint Laurent, all very Austrian varieties. I've never seen these outside of Austria, so they're kind of unique, I suppose, and they have their own profile, which makes them very interesting. And so, about the producer, Johannes Trapl, he's a young guy actually. He set up about 10 years ago when he was about 24, and built a winery with the future in mind, and has gone down a very much an organic route. And these are both organic wines. Now, he works now to biodynamic principles, but not 100% biodynamic at this point, but getting there. But very organic. He likes to let things work for themselves, and he even goes to the extent of foot trotting some of the portions of the grapes for his wines, and 100% for some of his top wines as well. So we'll try the white wine first. So Carnuntum White, or Weiss, as they say in German, Austrian, is 2017. So we're now end of April 2018. So 9 months ago, this was still a grape in an Austrian vineyard. So quite interesting, or a bunch of grapes. So this is a 55% Gruner. It's about 30% Weissburgunder, and then the remainder Welsh Riesling. Keep forgetting that, Welsh Riesling. Okay, so completely unoaked, hand harvested, a lot of it as well, and then stainless steel ferments as well. Now, again, being organic, wants to keep these as natural as possible, so he doesn't use any cultivated yeasts, cultivated enzymes, or he doesn't use any fining agents. He lets it work as naturally as possible, which is quite interesting in itself, because it has its problems doing that too. So colour-wise, when you pour this particular white wine, it's really brilliant, really brilliantly shiny almost, kind of green tinted. On the nose, very much sort of like on that pear skin sort of nose. Slight floral notes, bit herby nuances, bit of melon in there too. Very fresh palate, quite lean. You get those nice melon flavours, green flavours coming through, and there's actually quite a bit of spritz to this. When you open it up, you'll see a little bit of sparkle almost to it. Either it's bottled very fresh, or sort of trying to compete with Vino Verde in its style. It would almost remind you of a Vino Verde, but it is a really nice sort of limey finish to it almost as well. It's the sort of wine that will fit really well with seafood, work really well with spicy dishes, I think. It's quite interesting, quite different, unoaked. So I think if you're someone who likes maybe say Pinot Grigio styles, it's not the most powerful flavour like a Sauvignon Blanc. Pinot Grigios or Vino Verdis, things like that, this could be up your street. It's something a bit interesting, a bit different. So we'll move on to the red. And this is a blend of, as I say, about 60% is Weigelt, 25% Blaufränkisch, and then the remainder Saint Laurent, something like that, anyway. So very, very Austrian varieties. They have their own flavour profiles. They're not the sort of styles of wine for everybody, I suppose, because they are a bit different, and it's not by primary fruit to begin with. Typically with these varieties, it's a bit more savoury, should we say. So when you pour this wine out, the first thing you'll really notice is the colour. It's quite a vibrant sort of purpley rim, sort of ruby coloured, medium weight. It's a nice sort of fresh look to it almost. Now this is 2016, so it's about 18 months old. But it looks like very fresh wine, if you like. On the nose of this here, you get that sort of slight earthy note to it, I suppose, but it's kind of minerally earthy, as opposed to sort of funky earthy, I suppose. I almost got like a slight bit of rubber off it when I smelt it earlier as well. That's dissipated a bit. And then in underneath that sort of minerally earthy notes, you get that sort of black fruit cherries coming through on it as a fruit profile. It's quite an intriguing style of wine. Medium lighter style, lighter weight, quite crispy acids in it. Tannins are very, very fine, very, very soft in it as well. Though there are grip in there as it goes through. One thing you really notice with this is the length. It just lingers and lingers and lingers. A lovely sort of plummy cherry style fruit, I suppose, on the palate. Lovely finish to it. It is a slightly interesting nose compared to maybe what you'd use. It's not all about primary fruit. And this is what I like about it, actually. It offers something that little bit different, as does the white. Now, they're probably sitting around 16 quid, 15, 16 quid a bottle, these wines. So they're not cheap, but they are interesting. They do offer you different tastes. And they are very much food wines, I suppose. You know, say if you're going to have seafood, spicy dishes with this, I think something like a pulled pork, barbecue pork or something like that could work very well with this style of red, with its sort of smoky tones almost in there as well. Two very interesting wines from the Carnuntum region of Austria. It's wines we've never tried or never tasted from that part of Austria before. And yeah, I quite like them. You know, they're worth a go if you want to try something different. If you have a particular affinity to Austrian wines, definitely give Johannes Trapl wines a go. He's doing some interesting things there. And yeah, so remember, kwmwine.com, place where taste matters. Cheers.